Okie dokie, we're back again. Apologies for the bit of a hiatus between this and the last video, but we're off to a different start with something a bit different today. Got sent this video by someone I will not name because I didn't want to be, but they sent me this and said, "Give us a look." And apparently, it's Cold War living history reenactor giving an interview. Apparently, I think that's what it says in the actual title of the thing. Let me quickly switch over. It should be able to see the actual thing. Yeah, 2 weeks the Russians would be at the channel. Cold War British Army the Rhine reenactor interview. Okay, we'll give it a look. I'm joined by Levi, by the way, so hey, hello.
Hello. If you hear anything in the background, I'm cutting garlic at the moment.
He's doing things to keep away himself because he is a vampire. Yeah, so we'll give this a look. I'll press play. Levi, let me know if you can see it your end and you can hear it.
Oh, yep. Ooh, fancy high-tech graphics.
I know. I wish I could have graphics as good. Okay. So I can gather. I haven't seen the channel name because I just got sent the link. Immediately came up with this, and I paused and put the screen up. So this is a wargaming, like small figurines, like a board gaming channel, which is cool. Probably subscribe. Okay. I will put the name of the channel down below in the description when. Oh my fucking god! Okay.
Oh, it's attached to a life support system.
We know who that is, don't we, Levi?
I believe I do.
The Ginger Tash himself. His name is Ryan. Great guy. Really, really good guy. Let's see what he does. Let's see what he does in this video. Be interesting to see. I will say there is one, possibly two things which could be a bit of a glaring issue from the start, but we'll get onto that. This is no thing at Ryan. It's just something I just spotted. But we'll go a bit further into to see what he says. Yeah. So
is that a hack?
I think this is an Odyssey when he was opposite you. Well, I'll press play.
Bear in mind, I am looking at this on a phone screen, so you've obviously got more definition.
That's fair. From what I can tell from behind him, I think that's an Odyssey. But I won't bring up what I spotted, which might be a bit wrong. But we'll carry on.
Right, so we are East West Forces. We're a British living history group. We do from the early 60s all the way into the early 90s for British Army. Here today we're depicting British Army of the Rhine.
Yeah, he's Odyssey. I can see the bins.
Oh, good lord.
Oh god, it's a shame honestly, it's a shame we were all separated. It would have been good otherwise. But yeah. I do like Ryan's smock though. It's very nice. It's a very nice smock.
We're doing a round exercise Lionheart, which is the largest operation the British Army has ever.
Shame about that cat badge though.
Received.
Tigers all the way.
It is the largest operation since World War II. It's the biggest exercise they've ever done and likely ever will do, as well as the most expensive. So
that is actually a good point there. I can't remember the last time the British Army had an exercise larger than brigade level.
Yeah, no, it was huge. Also, you had the smaller scale exercises in the late 80s, but nothing came close to Lionheart from what I can gather.
Yeah, that is a bit of a problem as well, because if your generals are not used to commanding things larger than a brigade, what happens when they go into larger areas of combat?
Exactly. Because especially with Lionheart, it was the combat element, but it was more so to practice the logistics element for Lionheart. Because of the amount of guys they were trying to ship across from the UK, it was over 100. It was about 150,000 or so, roughly, of reserves, TA, etc., and other units. So yeah, logistically it was insane. But we'll carry on.
At the moment, we're stationed in Germany. We're awaiting a Soviet attack. This time mocked up by the Germans, the Belgians, and the Dutch. And
this is an exercise you're talking about.
It was an exercise, so they're playing the Russians. They use the Russian tactics. Their vehicles are painted with Russian markings to look like Russian vehicles.
From what I could tell, not necessarily painted with Russian markings. They were just sort of painted up as the orange forces. You had the orange and you had the blue forces. For Lionheart, as far as I remember.
Yeah, it's also a bit weird when they say dressing up as Russians or Soviets back then, because it's like I've come across a couple of uniforms which look like they've been modified to look like the Soviet uniforms of the time.
Yeah,
But I've never come across them in enough detail to make me think, oh, those are official op for.
Yeah. And anyway, mostly for Lionheart, anyway, it was just the case of wearing either was it orange or white? Well, I know the opposing the sort of the quote unquote enemy of Lionheart was the orange forces. So they were wearing orange armbands or like orange markers on the tanks, on vehicles, etc. They weren't using like mock uniforms and that because of the scale of the exercise. It was unnecessary. So
provide a simulation of a Russian attack than anything else. They've even got specialists that will train them in Russian tactics just for our benefit.
And there's a delay, you were saying?
Yeah, so the delay between the force is designed to hold off for 2 days. That's the idea, at least 2 days. Anything other than that is bonus. Once we get 2 days, we can bring in troops from British homeland. The Americans can come over the channel as well. They've got troops in Britain, and obviously they can fly over from America. And 2 days should give us enough time to mobilise most of NATO. But yeah, the force is designed to last 2 days. During Lionheart, they lasted about 6, but that was a bit of a training exercise. It might have gone a lot worse in reality. Yeah, it's a lot of there's a divide between East and West Berlin, and then East and West Germany as well. So troops inside the Berlin garrison were only expected to last about 20 hours.
I think
yeah.
so.
You said
Yeah, I think roughly.
I'm very wary of this whole they were expected to last X many hours and stuff, because there's a lot of X factors at play.
And exactly.
We all know that basically Berlin was going to be left behind anyway. There was nothing we could do. It was just a trigger. It was a trip.
Exactly. Yeah.
So they could have held out for weeks, but the
say...
point is they wouldn't have had much impact on the greater scheme of things.
No. It was, at the end of the day, Berlin, the holding of West Berlin was basically, majority was it symbolic. To be honest with you, it was a statement to the Russians, we hold this part of Berlin. End of the day, they're surrounded on all sides. It's just a matter of time, basically. Yeah. But we'll carry on.
Before being destroyed. But they would have fought that whole time. Yeah. They're cut off. They're surrounded in Berlin, so it's a kind of a...
bypassed, you're talking about...
Yeah, so they'd have been bypassed immediately. They'd have gone straight around it and then cut off and destroyed.
And they knew that?
And they knew it. Their unit was one of the most well-trained.
Sorry, Berlin was one of the most well-trained. They were as trained as anyone else, really.
Yeah, that's my... Yeah. Let me hear that again quickly.
And they knew it. Their unit was one of the most well-trained.
That's not really the case. Obviously, you got...
I mean, in the sense of they were preparing for a specific assault.
Yeah. They would be trained primarily when they were stationed there within the urban environment they were actually operating in.
Yeah, they'd be learning the streets, learning which underground stations are best, which avenues are ambush, that kind of stuff.
They would have specialized training to the environment they were in, but not special training as in like they were better trained. It's just
it's not like trying to pair regular conscripts of airborne troops. It's not that kind of special
exactly. And the French, American, and British forces within the zones of occupation within Berlin were on rotation anyway. You never had...
It was never a permanent force.
Yeah, I think the only permanent garrisons that were there were like the armored units, but their personnel would rotate. As as a named unit, they would be there on a permanent basis, for example. But the personnel would rotate in and out.
Yeah, there wasn't a permanent Berlin regiment. It was a brigade, and those units within it would rotate.
The Berlin Brigade, the Berlin defenses, and the Americans had their own, the French had their own, etc., etc. But an infantry battalion, for example, would never stay more than 3 years generally, and that's going a bit beyond at that point. Depending on the time period, heightened readiness or whatever it may be, but end of the day, generally the standard same equipment as the rest of the army and the same training as the rest of the army. They were just a bit more focused training on one thing than another, I would say. I think that's probably the best way to put it, really. So, yeah.
They knew they would be destroyed eventually. Yeah.
So your weapon you're running here is a standard infantry?
Yeah, so it's the standard infantry rifle. It's the SLR. It's a 7.62 self-loading rifle. Yeah, they're a 7.62 rifle, semi-auto only. The range on these over irons is about 300 meters.
Over irons.
Effective range
I'm
irons.
I'm pretty sure that the sights go out for longer than 300 meters.
Oh, they absolutely do. Like you might not be able to see it, but you can absolutely go up to. So the sights on the SLR, because I've got one here, go up to about 600 yards, and it's in yards, not meters. So it goes up 600 yards. You might not be able to see 600 yards, but you have the ability to do that with your sights, and you can shoot out longer as long as you elevate it enough. It will go well, depending and generally with the bullet drop and all this sort of stuff and etc. and other factors, but it will go further. I would say effective shooting range with irons, effective 300 yards. That's fair. But I think maybe he misspoke, but we'll see.
Well, the thing about 300 yards or 300 meters, it comes from those studies in World War I and World War II where the majority of combat occurred at ranges less than 300 meters. So whilst your rifle's good for going longer, it's a case of, do you expect to engage the enemy at ranges beyond 300 meters or not?
Exactly. We'll see if he
especially when the further away the enemy is, the harder it is to even aim on the person because they just become a small speck.
Yeah. Right.
Range on these over irons is about 300 meters, give or take. But beyond that, it's shooter's luck. Depends on how good your eyesight is.
Okay.
They do fire rifle grenades. They do fix bayonets.
All right, he's kind of addressed that.
Yeah. I think that's right. Rifle grenades, it can do, but beyond the early 60s, they would the British Army kind of got rid of them. Energers, even though they kept the bloody pouches on the pouch on the pouch well up until the early 90s. It just, even though it was never really adopted properly, well, it was, but generally the Brits came up against more Energers than they used in the Falklands at the end of the day, because the Argentine were using the Energer as well. So,
rifle grenades themselves create a problem as well because, if the person uses it incorrectly, shoulders the rifle and fires it off, you could probably dislocate the shoulder. So in some ways, it's safer not to train them to use rifle grenades. Yeah,
and most training I've seen and manuals from the Energer era of the late 50s, early 60s, you're sort of told to use the sling to brace, and you're firing it from underneath the armpit to fire it. In general mode, obviously you can fire it from the ground, but to use it almost like it's weird, but not exactly the most comfortable thing to do. And
if you want proper rifle grenade drill, you got to go to the Swiss. But even then, they trained hard to make sure you didn't mess up shooting them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it was built into their sort of anti-tank capabilities within the section.
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's carry. Bennett, yeah, absolutely.
Things get a bit close, but you're up to 300 meters. In theory, the NATO, the 7.62 round is deadly to about 900 meters.
Oh,
and beyond that, even
is it frozen for you? Oh, there we go.
No, it's still going.
Oh,
The
there we
round is deadly to about 900 meters,
Frozen.
and beyond that, even
Oh, yeah, now it
Okay.
has. Yeah, back.
900 meters with a direct hit to the chest.
And this is firing as fast as you can pull the trigger.
Did he say? Just a minute.
He said deadly up until about 900 meters, and it's like, well, okay, aimed fire maybe, but
Yeah,
if
aimed fire.
if you're one unlucky guy who gets hit with a stray at 1,100 meters,
It's still going to kill you. It's still going to kill you. Yeah, that's I thought I heard that right.
Yeah. Or at the very least, it's going to put you in a world of pain.
Yeah, like it doesn't matter if you're like 2,000 yards, 3,000 yards. If it's still moving and it hits you, it's going to do a lot of damage and probably kill you still. So, okay.
with around like 7.62, you're probably looking at 1,500 meters at the most when it would stop becoming quote unquote deadly. But even then, it's like it depends where it hits you.
And again, it depends. I think that as well, depending on where it is, and depending on where you're standing, whoever's unlucky enough to be standing in the way of this, of wherever this 7.62 is coming from, if it's on say you're on a lower part of terrain than the shooter was, and it's now got it's now got terminal velocity and gravity assisting it even more now, because it's heading towards the ground faster and it's got a longer way to go down, if you know what I mean.
I mean, again, that's the point as well. Is that if you, hypothetical, you're standing still, you fire out. You fire out flat. By the time the casing hits the ground, the bullets hit the ground as well, because bullets don't really generate their own lift. They technically do on a real small aerodynamic level, but to all intents and purposes, they don't. Yeah. So, chances are you're not getting a bullet out to 900 meters with a typical rifle.
Yeah. Just the unlucky bugger who gets hit by it. Like again, it's in the day, physics is you know what I mean.
And still quite bad for you if you get hit, but deadly up to 900 meters with a direct hit to the chest.
And this is firing as fast as you can pull the trigger.
Almost as fast as you can pull the trigger. Yeah, it's about.
Well, it is firing as fast as you can pull the trigger. So
I'll give him that one, because technically, if you start messing around with the trigger, you could cause stoppages and jamming and stuff. But
to a point. But basically, as long as you're pulling the trigger, as long as the trigger's reset and you can pull the trigger again, that's generally how it.
We're nitpicking.
yeah. Again, not against you, Ryan, silly moustache man.
As a minute, almost, if you can go for that long. They're only 20 round magazines, so they're semi-auto because the rounds are so big that the recoil by the first round, when they were first introduced and they bought on for trials, they had a full auto setting. They were repeating fire, and they found that troops immediately put them automatic the moment they saw an enemy, and then wasted entire magazines. You only have to carry about 5 magazines on you at any one time. So
to a point, depends on the period, depends when it is, but
well, it was probably 5 at first, but then of course soldiers will be soldiers and scrounge extra ammo.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And again depends on the period. Like if you're looking at guys in Malaya and Borneo, they've got larger mag pouches. They could carry more if they wanted to. Again, depends on the role. Ammunition.
It's my understanding in this era, you've got a minimum of 6 in the pouches, 1 in the rifle, and then various spare ammunition in your personal pack and pockets.
Yeah, because like with 44 pattern pouches, basic pouches, you could fit easily 3 mags in, the pouches, and then again, as you just said, like have one in the rifle itself, whatever it may be. Or if you manage to get hold of a couple of 30 rounders, again, you've got more ammo there. And then you might be carrying a bandolier, so that's another 50 rounds. And as long as you're carrying one of these, you'll be grand. Just slap that onto the top of your mag, strip a clip them in, and you got more rounds. So happy days.
It's also interesting to note as well that if you've got 5 magazines in total, 5 times 20, 100 rounds, your typical Warsaw packed opposition might have 3 magazines on his immediate person, might have a 4th if he's lucky, but you're typically looking at 1 in the rifle, 2 in the mag pouch, maybe a 3rd in the mag pouch if it's a 4 cell, and then the spare is a couple of stripper clips. So in terms of ammunition per man, you're coming on a rough parity, if not a slight superiority to the British guy.
Yeah, and again, depends on the period, depends on when. Depends on who you're facing, really. The full auto stuff, again, even majority of the countries that standardized FALs with the full auto capability of their FALs, most of them were trained in semi-automatic fire. It's kind of a optional fun switch which most guys wouldn't really use because it was kind of useless and just a waste of ammunition. Like poorly trained conscripts might thing, but even then the conscript's going to be trained in semi-automatic fire anyway. So
it's not necessarily a case of training there. It's a case of your reactions under fire.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's
so
well, yeah.
One of the case in point things there is with the AK, the automatic setting is the middle setting.
Yeah.
So when you're in combat and stress is underway, your immediate reaction is to push the thing all the way down.
Yeah.
So you go for single shot. That was a conscientious choice.
Yeah, I think though with the FAL though, because obviously to do full auto, you got to push it down and then forward. So you kind of have to instinctively push it down, but then push it all the way to the front. So it's a bit more of a deliberate choice to put it to full auto as well. Unlike a quick flick down, you hear the first click and then you're immediately ready to fire with semi-automatic. But you've got to push the CF for full auto is at the front, so you got all the way. Yeah, it's weird. So kind of the same thing. Obviously, it's a bit more easy to put it under fully automatic than with AK. You got to be a bit more deliberate with that. But yeah, no, I know what you mean though. Again, Ryan would probably say it like fully automatic with battle rifles is kind of.
You can do it, but
but it's kind of pointless within.
It doesn't really give you much except for like those very specific circumstances.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
5 magazines are 20 rounds. So once your magazines are out, you're hand loading magazines, which is not a fun task.
Not if you've got one of these.
And the moment that troops got into contact during trials, they put them straight onto automatic, wasted all their ammo because you can't hit anything in automatic. So they removed the automatic setting from them, but they did leave it the markings on the gun.
Okay.
This is the later version of the SLR. All they did was change.
Oh, okay, saying it. Sorry. I was about to pause and say something then, but he's saying it.
This is the later version of the SLR. All they did was change the plastic covers over. The wooden covers were well liked by troops, especially Northern Ireland. A wooden buttstock with a metal plate was very good for clubbing people, and that's why they were.
I think that's just more of a case of like.
Who doesn't love clubbing someone?
True. But I think it's kind of one of those. It's like the Duracell battery stuff in like baton rounds, or like the whatever.
One
like
of those legends, which is probably
it's like the whole NI glove thing, or we put some whatever in there. It's like that kind of thing. Is these stories keep evolving? Like, oh, club someone. To be honest with you, you got a baton for that. And if you're going around clubbing people with the USLR, it's not going to look good. It probably happened, but like, yeah, guys like the wood because it looked nice. I'll go back quickly though.
Troops, especially Northern Ireland, a wooden buttstock with a metal plate was very good for clubbing people, and that's why they were preferred. However, the wood in the jungle is swelled. The British Army is fighting still all over the world at this point. There's almost an empire still.
That not so much really an issue.
I'm going to say 83 at this point.
Yeah. So bear in mind and it's not plastic. This is something I've also said in the past. It's nylon, black hardened nylon with foam inserts. So if you could you see my camera? All right.
I can't really on your end, but
okay,
I know what you're talking about because it's a reinforced polymer.
Yeah, it's reinforced nylon with foam inserts. So on the guys, you can see my camera. Yeah, it's the whole swelling thing. Like the British Army have been fighting in jungles and hot places since eternity, really. Like, swelled furniture isn't really an issue. Like, if a bit of your furniture swells, like your handguard, your pistol grip, your stock, that can be replaced. It's only wood. It's not much of an issue. Take it to an armorer. Stock swelled, okay, they repair it or they replace it. Not an issue. The overwhelming reason they've changed from wood furniture to nylon was because of MBC. Because the main reason you don't want wood furniture is because wood soaks in what surrounds it. That's why, like you said about swelling of the wood because of like the environment. But if a chemical agent gets onto the stock of your rifle, like your stock, your pistol grip, your handguard, you may wipe it clean, but it's soaked into the stock. You then go to fire your rifle later on after you've so-called cleaned it, even if you're wearing a chemical suit at the time before. You then start sweating. Your hand sweats. You then reactivate the agent inside the stock. That's now on your face. That's now on your hand. That's now on your other hand or your arm. You've then got chemical burns or some sort of burns on your hands or whatever. That's not a good thing. That's why they changed, because it's easy to decontaminate this stuff rather than wood. That's literally the main reason. Because again, it's 90. This comes in 1971, 72. By that point, the British Army is introducing, well, by the sort of mid late 60s, is introducing MBC suits and BC suits beforehand. Well, MB, you know, yeah, it's nothing to do with swelling of wood. Like, if it was that, if that was the case, the British Army would have been issuing Bakelite stocks, like number 5 carbines. Like, if that was an issue in the jungle, and they would have adopted the SLR with different furniture. Like, plastic furnitures were available at that point. They were newish, but even by the late 50s, you had stuff which was using Bakelite and other things. So, but obviously, yeah, this was technically newer technology, but it's not because of wood swelling. Borneo was over by the time this comes out, so Borneo had been over for about 5 years. Yes, you had other jungle things, but it wasn't an issue, really. So I went off a bit of a tangent there, but you get what I mean.
Covering. In the jungles, the wood swelled, the action swelled up and caught and got steak.
Action swelled up? Not really. No. They didn't change anything about the action. Just changed the furniture. So
they replaced the plastics with wood. The plastics are a lot easier to
You meant to say replace the woods with plastics, okay?
Contaminate in the case of MBC attacks. So if you have chemical environments, nuclear attacks, anything weird, strange happening like that, they you can hose these down, whereas the wood absorbs the contaminants. They're a 9mm submachine gun. They are quite accurate, up to about 200 meters.
Based off of Sten?
Accurate 200 meters, okay, yeah. Effective range to what you could see and what you could probably hit. At that rate, you might as well just be fucking throwing potato at them at that range at 200.
To be fair, I haven't heard anything good about the accuracy of the Stern. So.
Within 50 and 100 yards, fine. Beyond that, meh.
They are very similar to a Sten. They're a Sten if you spent more money on it, rather than the Sten, I think, cost about £20 to make. These cost quite a bit more, but they work on the same blowback principle. There you go. So they're only a 9mm round. There are rumours that you could stop a 9mm with a wet blanket.
Yeah, I've heard those rumours.
I find them very dubious. Because do you want to test that? Nope, not me.
Well, I'd be interested to create the test, but I'm not going to be the dummy.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like those things that came out from Korea. You know about the M1 carbines. It's like that, but it's like majority of the time you've got guys who are very fanatical, wearing lots of padded clothing, and even if they were hit, most of the time again they're fanatical. So you got that sort of mix of things, but most of the time they are getting killed eventually.
There's also the case in Korea as well that a lot of the American soldiers were still conscripts, and they were terribly led and trained in those eras. So they were probably missing and just seeing people trip and get back up.
Yeah.
Because the French in Indochina and to a certain extent in Algeria, they love the M1 carbine, and from their experience, that round would put down people reliably.
Yeah, like with the British in Malaya and which I should say Malaya really, they loved it, and the SAS in World War II loved the M1 carbine as well. They loved the magazine capacity. They loved its semi-automatic function. They loved it. Great for that type of warfare. Again, like you wouldn't be using if it's struggling to get through a wet blanket. It would have to be a very thick wet blanket, supposedly probably about that bloody thick. But
well, the fact as well that if it was struggling to get through a blanket, it would have been discontinued.
Yeah, and how far away are you from this blanket that you're shooting at? That's why. Again, he said Ryan said rumors, which I think is fair. It's like if you're firing at this blanket from like 100 yards, then I could see that. But if you're within distance that you should be using your SMG, i.e., 50 yards in closing, then it should punch through. So anything like that, and who the fuck's walking around with a wet blanket? But yeah, we'll carry on.
But I've never seen it in practice.
Right,
These are obviously, most people recognise these from Star Wars. They were what the filmmakers had in stock because it was filmed in Britain. So they had these in stock. And then they basically taped a load of stuff to it and then blank fired them for Star Wars.
Well, I learnt something today. Fascinating fact.
Yeah. Yeah, we normally issue these to people who want something bigger than a pistol, smaller than a rifle. But yeah, they're quite accurate.
Radio operators, mortarmen, depending. Officers, depending. Normally captain above, but again, depends. Lorry drivers, vehicle drivers, you name it, they can have them. And then you get into the sort of more abstract, that's not abstract, but like sort of different things of that. Like sometimes guys who would be carrying a Sterling in certain theatres, either Borneo or rural sources of Northern Ireland, for example, you might be carrying an AR. And again, I'm going to use AR as a general term for people who might be watching. I'm not going to go into all the different things. Or is it an AR? Is it an M16? Is it a 603, 602, 604? All that kind of crap, because I haven't got the time, nor have I got the patience. But we all know what I mean by an AR. So
yeah,
M16.
Trying to work out AR variants gets nightmarish.
Oh, well, in British use, it just gets silly. Because you got then the XM and then the 603 and oh god, I don't know. Oh, but it doesn't have a forward assist, so it's this. Oh, I don't know. But yeah. General use for non-needers of a full rifle, or whatever it may be, or for again radio men or whatever. But yeah,
they're quite nice for close quarters. They can fold down, obviously, so they can be very short, very handy.
I think I just heard Kendrick in the background.
We have the 2 section support weapons. So when we go into combat, we split into sections, normally 2 sections per group. So we have a rifle section and a gun section. That's all rifles.
Yeah, to a point, they were still working as kind of World War II doctrine in the sense as rifle group, gun group. Again, that could be mixed around a bit more, but
I'm always very wary of people making these references back to, oh yeah, it's still basically World War II tactics, because at what point do you stop going back?
I think in terms of the structure of the rifle section, it was still that kind of thing. In terms of how that was utilized was different, absolutely. Because you're now operating out of an armored vehicle now, or whatever it may be. But in terms of how the actual structure of the numbering, so it might not be like, because the wanted number or on paper number of a rifle section in World War II, late World War II, let's say, was 10 men. Most of the time it will be 8 or less, because of numbers wise. Similar issues with the Cold War, numbers weren't always high, especially after national service ended. You're never going to get a section really. I say never. It's fairly unlikely that you're going to get a section at full strength majority of the time. So you're talking 6, 7, maybe 8 men at a push. You have a quote unquote gun group, which will have a GMP, or in some aspects, possibly an L4. Again, depends on where you are, who you are, what the roles, whatever. Depends if you want to be carrying belted ammunition or you want to be carrying box ammunition. So again, all these sort of parameters come into effect. But in terms of what Ryan said, I'll go with that because it's basically how the structure was really.
This is our main one for GPMG, the general purpose machine gun.
That specific one's been in my house.
7.62 round as well, just like the
That was the one we had at Overlord last year.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, I remember that.
SLRs. It's belt fed. You can fire up to it's about 900 rounds a minute.
Yeah.
And then you can blow through a full 100 round belt in about 5 seconds. So you can put down the entirety of the squad's fire can be supplied just by the light machine gun alone. And then we have the true light machine gun, the L4. It's a converted World War II era Bren.
Yeah.
So they're the Bren guns.
That's George's one. You can tell because the well, you can't see it, but the housing has been changed so it can take an L4 barrel, and the magazine housing is slightly larger than the mag because the mag's got like a little adapter attached to it, so to fit in there.
From World War II, rechamber for 7.62 NATO, new sights to match the new calibers, but that's about it. They're basically World War II guns. These feed off of the same magazines that the SLRs feed off of. So they feed, we can run magazines from the Bren into the SLRs as well. So if one goes down, you can immediately feed it with ammo from your own pouches, unlike these which use linked.
Yes. It's telescopic on this one.
So this is the Trilux sight. It was versions of the SLR, so they handpicked the most accurate SLRs out of the factory.
No, they didn't. That's number 4 rifle T territory now. No, they were just given to generally brick commanders and or specific men within the brick in Northern Ireland to use as either obviously quote unquote more accurate shooting and or better to look at individuals from distance. That is the main reason they were introduced, to give a section of guys the ability to look further. They weren't like the suit system. It's on a rickety top cover, like fairly. It's on a rickety top cover in a fairly poorly, I would say, designed mount, which clips on, and then you put down a switch which attaches it to the top cover or to the mount on the top cover, which is if knocked will completely knock your zero and probably break the mount as well. Yeah,
it's not even really in that sense a DMR because it doesn't retain zero that well.
It's really not. It's like
it's there to, as you say, it's there to augment the typical soldier. It's not really to provide an additional capability.
exactly. Like it's I don't know where Ryan got the thing from about it being assigned. Like guys would just be handed like, I use my saws as a reference because basically it is a suit sight within a unit. So to those who haven't seen the video beforehand, this is basically that sight, but with a laser unit added to it for, in all certain terms, army laser tag. That's basically what this is. That is obviously just the sight itself, but basically this with the rail attachment for the top cover was given to in a pouch with the rail, probably a separate, was given to a guy in a brick or however many guys in a platoon, going, okay, here's this for you. Put that on your rifle. You basically just break the action open. The top cover that you already have comes off. This top cover goes on. You then put your sight on it where you push it down and you clip it down. It clips, all this sort of random jazz. And there you go. You now have a sight on your rifle. that is it. These rifles weren't picked; they were already being used by the guys, and although they were just sent out these in their little pouches. Like these weren't like linked to the rifles in any way, bar you slipping the top cover on it. The sight picture itself is okay, but the eye relief is horrendous. You have to push your eye very much against the actual eye cup, as you can see on his one there. Basically, to get a decent picture at all, it uses a post that comes down from the top, which can be adjusted, if you see on the side of the picture here, by this little lever. If you can you see my mouse there, Levi?
No, at the moment, because as I said, I'm cooking.
Okay, yeah, you're on the phone. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. For all those, so the sight looking thing, if the side looking towards us, there's a little like flicker switch almost. You can probably tell on the main body of the central part of the sight. That is how you adjust the range from, I think it's 300 yards to 500, if I remember correctly. That is literally your only adjustment point. They can lose zero fairly easy. As I said, the sight, the mounting point is the major weak point of this sight. Yeah, they're cool. I want one so much. But in terms of actual like utility, they're a bit crap. They're a bit shit. But they do look cool. The Israelis basically make a complete copy of this with the exact same mounting system as well. And the Russians copied it and made a much better mount for it. What was the name of that one again, if you can remember, Levi?
I'm afraid I can't at the moment.
That's fair.
Usually, if it's a site, it usually has a name like PSO.
Yeah, it's something along those lines. But yeah, the Russians basically copied it. Don't know why they did, but they copied it. But made a specific mount for the AK, or one of the AK variants for it, and it works a much better mounting point system.
Yeah, the side rail system actually has a lot going for it.
Yeah, it's far superior to this bloody horrible. I don't know why they went for this, and like especially making a weak mounting point to a rickety bit of tin, which is the top cover, because the top cover is not integral to the working of the rifle. It's not part of the body; it's separate, and it can move back and forward. It can move side to side. It's just it's horrible.
Yeah, there's no retaining of zero on the top cover. It's just loosely held in place because all it is a top cover.
Yeah, and because it moves as well, it means I've seen 2 examples now of the mounting points literally shearing off of the sight under recoil because of the way the sight's mounted. It moves too much, so it basically gets all the shock sometimes from the weapon firing. So that's a great design. But anyway, let's carry on.
And fitted them with Trilux sights, which gave them a little bit more of an accurate. Although they're only about, I believe they're a 3 power optic, so they're not particularly strong, but they are quite accurate when they're well treated.
Somewhat.
Okay. An Enfield?
You can and you can't do snap shooting with them. They're a bit. If you look down it too much, it really fucks with your vision. If you're looking down it for too long, they're good for scanning. They're very good. They're good for scanning. Snap shooting depends on the shooter, but
because we can't find.
Because you've got to get so close to it, it kind of throws you.
We've got to convert one. So these are the number 4 Ts. They were once again used during World War II. The British Army will not throw anything away if it can avoid it. So they're rechambered again for 7.62. This one's a nice copy of.
The 7.62 is the standard like NATO.
Standard NATO round. So every army adopts a rifle in 7.62. Normally,
you might want to specify which 7.62, mate, because there are lots of countries that use 7.62.
Yeah. We'll see what he says. I'll go back a little bit. We'll see what he says. Because obviously he's got a number 4T there. Just for everyone watching, that is a number 4T, Gemini 303. There was a very limited run of number 4s in 7.62, but that wasn't really adopted at all. you start seeing L42, so the 762 version, with obviously it almost looks like a sporterized Enfield because of the barrel, most of the barrels exposed and all this sort of stuff, in about 72 roughly. You do see these crop up very early Northern Ireland, so 69, 70, 71. 71's like really long in the tooth by that point. But yeah, technically you do see these in Northern Ireland at some point as well. But again, we'll digress. I understand they're using it here as a reference point to the L42. But yeah, this wasn't. Also, I don't think that's a real.
I mean, to be fair, it's a good reference point. I mean,
yeah, that's good.
The gun is still going as a sniper rifle.
I think this is definitely a converted to a number 4T, because that scope is not real. Well, it's a real scope, but it's not a original number 4T scope.
This one's a nice copy of
the 762 is the standard like NATO.
Standard NATO round. So every army adopts a rifle in 762. Normally the FAL, most countries adopt the FAL, which is what our SLRs are based on. Some countries like Germany, they adopt the G3. Yeah, America adopts the.
Yeah, they do, but you still got the Bundesgrenzschütz who still get, was it G1?
Yeah, the FA. Well, the FAL was adopted as Gewehr number 1 for the Bundeswehr, but basically, the Belgians went, "Hang on, we don't like the idea of giving our guns to Germany, so Germany had to go and get its own guns." So it got the G3.
Yeah.
Interestingly, the G2 is often left over, but the G2 is the Swiss Sig 510 for Germany.
Okay, fair.
They considered adopting that.
Okay.
Laws are based on. Some countries like Germany, they adopt the G3. Yeah, America adopts the M14 instead, and then quickly replaces that with the M16, which is in an entirely different caliber, which is quite a pain for the rest of NATO, who have already purchased all of their rifles in 762.
So like you find yourself fighting alongside a Frenchman with his weapon.
Yeah, the French 7.5 by, what was it, 55?
I'll give it a second. I think I might know what he's going to say. Give it a minute.
In 762.
So like you find yourself fighting alongside a Frenchman with his weapon, and he could share ammo with you.
Will fit in your gun.
No, it won't. No, it won't.
Yeah, the French never went for 7.62 because by the time that decision was taken, they'd withdrawn from the military side of NATO.
Yeah, exactly.
That whole thought that we refused to do the joint command structure and stuff. They stuck with 7.5, which to all intents and purposes was ballistically the same as 7.62. So from their point of view, why rechamber everything? Why go through the hassle of having to sort out your logistics from scratch?
Yeah. And to be honest with you, by this point anyway, during the 80s, they're using FAMAS, which is in
83. The FAMAS is entering service. It's got its teething problems because hell did it have its teething problems.
Yeah.
You're still getting a lot of troops with the old MAS 49 and the MAT 49 as well.
But then again, on all levels, then you're not having the same ammunition.
Also, you get to throw in the wild card, which is French Special Forces, the paratroopers and stuff. They got access to the SIG 540 series, so that would be in what 5.56.
Yeah. Oh, good lord. Well, I think from what I'm reading anyway, they adopted the FAMAS 1, adopted it.
78 is usually the official date given to it.
78. Yeah.
I mean, you start seeing it. You're not going to see it as like the standard issue for every unit until.
Oh, good lord, no, good lord, no, absolutely not. Yeah, but that's in not in 762, but okay. I think because the guy said it and then Ryan sort of was like, yeah. But probably just didn't realize at the time, which is fine. He probably wasn't sure, but yeah.
Some of the machine gun ammo is it's what we call hotter ammo. Basically, they put a little bit more powder in it, so the guns cycle better. But normally,
with British 762, most of it's always the same. Normally, majority of the time,
Yeah, just because the bullet caliber is the same and the bullet cartridge size is the same doesn't mean the bullet is the same. This is
no,
why
no,
you
exactly.
have.
I think with
Well,
how
in the
British
case of the Americans was it
anyway,
M855? Is it?
some, but like, yeah, with British stocks anyway, you can absolutely change them. Generally, there's not really seen as really the point of doing that anyway, or you could at a pinch. But like, if you're carrying belted ammo, you have a belted gun with you.
Yeah.
So there's and it's in link. Like, if you're carrying a rifle, you're going to carry your ammunition in your magazines and probably in a stripper clip as well in bandolier. And if you're getting to the point where you're having to remove rounds from link to supply your rifle, something's gone really, really badly wrong.
Yeah, the machine gun is the center of firepower for the infantry squad. So if the machine gun is giving out ammunition, yeah, something has gone wrong.
Yeah, something's gone very badly wrong. So yeah, and yeah, it again, anything situation dictates, but yeah.
When you get ammo from any of the NATO countries, as long as it's marked 7.62, it'll fit in your guns. The only things that are different
Most cases, yeah, but again,
are some magazines won't fit.
Again, if it's labeled 7.62, but it could be 7.62 by something else.
Well, to be fair, in the case of NATO, it's going to be 7.62 by 51.
It should be, yeah. In all intents and purposes, yes, but there are some caveats.
So Britain being Britain, bought SLRs measured in inches, call them inch pattern fouls. France built theirs in metric.
France?
Hang on, what did he say?
Give a minute. Right.
Marked 7.62, it'll fit in your guns. The only things that are different are some magazines won't feed. So Britain being Britain, bought SLRs measured in inches, call them
we produced them. We didn't buy them.
Yeah, I'll give him that because you still have to buy them even if they are from a.
Yeah, well, the initial batches of trials were basically ones made by FN, so they were like, but yeah, I again, yeah, I'll allow them that kind of thing.
Pattern fouls. France built theirs in metric.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he probably missed.
Good luck trying to get any French magazine into a British weapon.
Yeah.
They're not even the same design.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although, mind you, in later eras, the FAMAS did get a M16 style Stanag mag.
Yeah.
Call them inch pattern fouls. France built theirs in metric, so their magazines don't fit in our rifles.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
to be fair, France did build their stuff in metric.
But they didn't. They didn't build FNFALs.
Not outside the initial trials, no.
Exactly. And anyway, technically, if we was talking about foul mags absolutely do fit in L1A1s, and I will demonstrate now.
It's the other way round that's the problem, isn't it?
The other way around. So the only thing is, it's the feed lug, it's the locking lug. So metric magazine, small locking lug. Inch pattern, big locking lug. That fits in fine to here. This also fits in fairly okay to here. The only issue is feeding. They will fit absolutely. Feeding is mostly okay. It depends sometimes, but they will absolutely go in and they will fit like so. Bit of a thing, but again, this is an airsoft magazine, so it's a bit of a weird one, but they will go in. The other way around, they do not. Again, feeding is your main issue with those, but in a pinch, you can absolutely use their magazines. So, as found in the Falklands, plenty of British guys will like nicking their mags, like taking Argentine mags. Cool, mag fully round. Yeah, I'll use that as a spare or whatever it may be. But they do fit.
That's not to be underestimated. That if your enemy has got ammunition you can use and the mag fits in, very easy to replenish.
Yeah, that's the thing. People say, "Oh yeah, the guys in Falklands picked up this rifle, this rifle, so this rifle's like." They might have had a Argentine Fallas like in a slit trench, like to use briefly in saying like a fight as like a possible within a defensive position to have it like as like a spare to quickly use it on full or something. 9 times out of 10, then the most thing they're nicking from the Argentines is the ammunition and the magazines. That's literally the most they're using. Most pictures of guys with RG FALs and that is posting for pictures majority of the time. So, yeah.
Yeah, there was a whole thing. I remember in the Soviet stuff, there was a whole thing about beware, as they called it, trophy weapons.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, it might be good in the then and now, picking up something from the dead and using it, but trying to keep that thing working in your logistics system.
Yeah.
And if there's different training, and now fortunately the FAL was an FAL to a point.
Yeah. Mm.
So in that sense, you've got familiarity. But yeah, if you're trained on L1s and you go around picking up G3s, all of a sudden you've got different parts, different operation.
Exactly. Like there is some differences depending on the FAL, especially with like well, I was to say especially again, differences and slight different ways of how you take certain things apart, like gas systems, etc. Slight differences between different FALs, etc. But all intents and purposes, majority the same system. But yeah, right, we'll carry on.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. It's one of those strange manufacturing quirks. Yeah. Anyway, the number 4Ts, sorry, they are the dedicated sniping rifle. They're
up until about
leftover
1970.
from World War II. Again, the British Army throws out nothing if it can avoid it. There's the identical action, rechamber for 7.62 NATO, new scopes to accommodate the different rounds. But that's it. There was no real changes made to them.
What's your anti-tank?
Oh, we're getting to anti-tank now.
They did have to change a fair bit. How the bolt works, etc. Because you're going from a rimmed to a rimless round, a completely new barrel, new magazine, the whole.
Yeah, it's not the simple just swap around.
Like the main body of the lower receiver had to be changed because you're dealing with a shorter round now as well. So there was a fair bit change. Like most of the initial ones most of them were converted over, but it was a hefty rebuild. So yeah.
Tank options for infantry.
For infantry, most people carry.
Most guys could carry an elf and a L72 law.
The Law 66. Once again, American made, purchased, and then reissued to British soldiers. These were...
initial batches were purchased straight from the Americans, and then they were made in the UK up until the early 2000s. Actually, I've seen one which was dated 06.
To be fair, as a basic anti-tank weapon, it's really hard to beat.
They're great. Like especially within like 50 to 100 yards, they're great.
Light armor. Some of the older tanks will be taken out by one of these trucks, anything like that. The range is very short.
Yeah, older tank. By this era, most of the Warsaw packs T55s from the front. I mean, it will do damage.
Mobility kills more than anything.
Yeah, but I mean, it will do damage if you get. I mean, if you're dealing with like one of the Polish ones which hasn't got ERA on the front of it because the Poles were dead poor during the Cold War.
Yeah,
you're probably going to knock it out. But Soviet stuff with ERA, even the T50 upgraded T55s, you're going to have a bit of trouble. But again, it's not about a dedicated anti-tank. It's more about you've given the infantryman something he can use to take out vehicles.
Exactly. Yeah, you're giving something to a guy who can quickly use it against a majority of what they might come up against if they're going against.
Oh, if you're going up against something like a BTR or a BMP, that's when you'll take it out.
BMPs, anything like that, light armor, absolutely great against it. Will punch through. Give
BRDM from the recon element.
Yeah, it would give anyone a side of fucking headache. So, but yeah, no, good little bit. But again,
I think they should have still made them instead of going for the end law. I mean, I get the point behind the end law, but I think this thing probably has more potential in it.
This thing. Well, it's like that's why they introduced the Law 80. It is bigger, but it's still like.
Yeah, but you've got that picture of me with the Law 80, and it was like it's impractically large.
It is. It is a long. It is a long boy. But yeah. But I like the M72s. They're great.
But they do say you can hit 200 if you're lucky.
And how many were those in like a infantry squad?
As many as you can physically carry.
Yep.
Right.
We don't have one here, but the bigger option from this is Milan, which is a
not by Lionheart. You have Lore 80 is out by that point, and is being carried by Lionheart. Same kind of deal, just a bit more of a heavy punch, quite a bit more of a heavy punch actually. But it is a bit bigger.
Yeah, one of the things that people don't realise is that caliber means something for missiles as well as for tanks.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you've got if you're making a shape charge is what these rockets are, these little missiles are.
Yeah.
If you're contained to 76 millimeter on the 72 Law? No, 66.
So 66.
Yeah, if you're contained to 66 millimeter, you have restrictions on how powerful a shape charge you can fit in. So at some point, it will obviously have to be replaced with something that is larger. To its credit, the RPG-7 is still going, and that's because the rocket fits outside of a tube. So you can make warheads larger for the existing launcher, whereas with a 72 Law, you're stuck with that fixed 66 millimeter diameter.
I might have misspoke. Lore 80 was actually introduced as 87. I swear I've seen something being carried in.
Maybe it was a trials one, because these things usually take years to get into service.
Might have been something else. Oh, actually, do you know what I've probably seen them carrying? I've probably seen them carrying
Milan tubes?
Huh?
Milan tubes?
Probably Milan tubes and or blowpipe. Or the
blowpipe.
Javelin. I would probably see them carrying Javelin. That's probably where I misspoke. Yeah, I kept thinking it was Lore 80, but no, Lore 80 is a completely different beast. It's something completely different. But yeah, probably Milan tubes actually. But yeah, I'll let him carry on. Yeah, what's that then?
A guided anti-tank launcher. It's a 2-kilometer ranged weapon. It's on a tripod about this big, and you have to carry the thing and walk with it for miles.
I've carried the tripod. It's a pain in the ass.
I'm pretty sure Milan will go further than 2 kilometers as well. I mean, that might be its effective range.
Sighted range, because it depends on the length of the wire.
Yeah.
I think it is. I think it might be 2K. And let me double check actually. Max speed, cyclist Y, yeah. Doesn't actually say.
There you go. I've had my late dinner.
Well, Milan ER had extended range to 3,000 meters. So yeah, about 2,000 meters, which is fair, and great during the Falklands again.
Yeah,
because you could literally post those. I think there were 16.5 kg warheads into a pillbox at like 1,000 yards easily.
Actually, that's a point. Did we ever issue dedicated anti-personnel or high explosive warheads for the Milan?
Nope.
Because the Soviets love using their anti-tank guided missiles as basically the replacement for the field gun. Yeah. So you have anti-tank warheads, but you also have anti-personnel warheads.
No, it was just sort of the standard Milan missile, but because it was because it's a because the Milan 1 is a shaped charge warhead, and then I think it's not until.
Well, yeah, it would have to be shaped charge because it's not going fast enough for kinetic.
Yeah, well, the Milan 2T, which came out in the 90s, I think. It ends up it then becomes a tandem warhead.
Yeah, that's to defeat ERA.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the original one is just a normal shaped charge. So, in the day, you're putting a 16 kg.
Oh yeah, it's still going to go bang.
Yeah, and and the thing is because the Milan itself, it has its stand sight, it has its own night sight as well, so you can see in the dark. So they're great for that, especially in the Falklands. They were fantastic because you can literally just post it into you just guide it onto the flash of like a gun position, and you're sticking like a small you're basically sticking a tank shell into the center of it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And they loved it. But yeah, I'll go back a little bit. I'll let Ryan speak because I've probably gone a bit more.
It's on a tripod about this big.
But yeah, the tripod there is a pain in the ass because it's the tripod and it's got like a sled fucking bucket thing with its sight on, and it's awkward as fuck.
And you have to carry the thing and walk with it for miles. I don't have one here. I'd love if we did.
Oh, that was it. Okay. Let's see if they mention him. They mention Ryan. Oh, he's actually got sponsors. Oh, he's actually sponsored by them. Do you believe in the cause? Theatre Battle. Oh, I think that's Theatre Battle TV. That's the name of the channel. Oh, 13. 16 even. Oh, for God's sake. Yeah, it was good. Obviously, so the thing I forgot to mention though was, let me go back a few to get a good picture of this.
Make them.
Ryan, that Brazzard.
Is that going to be like a late 80s Brazzard?
It's a 90s one.
Ooh.
Naughty boy, naughty boy. Yeah, like basically the same print as that. Yeah, that's 90s DPM Brazzard, I'm afraid.
Gulag, 3 years.
Oh, yours was a cooler. Dude, and the shirt, it's a GS shirt. He's doing Lionheart. You can kind of get away with it by this point. So I'm not overly too thinking. However, he should have it bloused over his shirt. Naughty boy. But yeah, that Brazzard, that's a 90s Brazzard, I'm afraid, because it's like CS 95 DPM. Naughty boy. It's a shame because his smock's lovely and his trousers are good as well. But yeah. Oh, Ryan, you silly Billy. If you want one, mate, I have fucking loads. And for Lionheart, to be honest with you, for that period in the 80s, you can get away with wearing just a plain green one as well. You don't have to have a DPM one. But yeah, I've got browsers if you want. More than welcome. But yeah, no, that was good. I'll come off of that quickly. But that was good. I enjoyed that. Hopefully, you guys watching did as well, and you learned something about me and Levi rambling on for currently an hour. Happy days. So yeah. Again, Ryan, if you see this video, honestly, mate, no hate towards you at all. You did a stellar job. Again, you're having to work off what's off your head in front of a guy with a camera, sticking it in front of you, going, "What's this? What's this? What's this?" So you probably misspoke a few times. I've done that before. Levi's probably done that before. So yeah, multiple times. And you're on camera, so it's one of those things. And the fact that I think this video was only posted like 3 weeks ago, so yeah. The guy who sent me this, thank you. I think you sent me some other stuff as well. I'll look at that again soon. But any comments in the description down below, please let us know. Levi, any final thoughts about what we just watched?
Not really. I mean, there were a few, I suppose you could say, mess ups, but
Yeah,
again, Cold War British is more your domain. So if you haven't found anything else, I can't really add.
End of the day, in terms of what he's shown, like in his hands and that, etc., bar the one Brazzard, everything looked fine. In my personal view, the only thing I think he should change in terms of what his appearance is either 1, fix your shirt, Ryan. 2, change that Brazzard, and 3, change that goddamn cat badge. But as said at the start by Ryan himself, he's with his West Forces. He's also technically part of my group as well, Tigers and Patrol. So it sort of goes between the two, and hopefully will be with us for some shows this year. But yeah, I will put this video up. And I will share this with him directly and see what he says to me or wants to speak to me afterwards about it. So we'll see. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate it. I know it's been a long one, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.
Bye.